Hi, I'm edA-qa Mort-ora-y, and this is my show about my game edA-qa's Room. And today I want to talk about, well, no, today I want to remove some red herrings from the game. Let me get set up and we'll do it first. So it's a online escape game. I have to start the server here, so the server is running to run it locally. And then I'm going to dev the client. I have a couple games. I have Carnival and Prototype. So I'm going to go with this start the Carnival one. This watches files, rebuilds things as I need it for the show. And for the actual thing, it just reloads everything. Just if you have questions, ask me about it. And the local host, I have it running. In the local host, I can start it up with any old key. On the live system, if you try with a key that doesn't exist, it's going to whine at you and say, hey, you can't do that. I try to resize the browser, or I'll just go into dev mode here. You can't see it, so this is the correct size. So this is the start of the game. Obviously it goes in like this. Hey, I can leave the music run. Let me check if it's too loud. It might be too loud. I'm going to turn the music off anyways. You can actually turn it off in the game now. It doesn't remember this setting if you reload, which is kind of a problem for development. But for, it's also stopped because the music's at the end. But for playing the game, it's not a big issue because you don't reload often, if at all. Now I'm just going to skip over and go to the scene where I'm interested in. There was no problems on this screen originally. I added a spinning guy. Most people don't see the spinning guy for some reason. They see that you can click stars on and off, but very few people actually click on the spinning guy. It's a little bit disappointing, but I think I'll manage that. I'm going to hide more stuff in the game too. So once you figure this screen out, you would go to the next screen. And I'm doing this inside the console here. I'm going to skip over to this screen here, and there's music here. Turn that down a little bit here, but you can still hear it. You have to make it louder. The music comes from zapsplat.com. Very helpful place to get sound effects. And the music's a limited slide, but the sound effects are really good. I use them throughout the game. On this screen, let me check. So I have notes on the players. So the notes look something like this. And I have several pages of these. For each play test, I have perhaps 2 to 4 pages of notes. And I have little symbols on them. The little fish symbols. I don't know if you saw the little fish symbols. So there's like a little fish symbol here. Fish. And it says tree down arrow. And the little fish means that the player got distracted by something in the game that I didn't want them to. They saw some association that had nothing to do with the puzzle. And you know, you can't prevent all of them, but when there's things that cost me nothing to change and can remove somebody's frustration, that's good. I don't care if the game goes fast. I really don't care if people breeze through the game. The point is that they have fun doing it. Okay, so but the screen I wanted to start with was the one that had the most work. User go to, oh crap, where was that? Actually, I don't even need to go. I can just go over here. So here is where the data is, where the problem is. In particular, it's in the menu over here. When you click on the menu, you go into here. And most people don't get distracted on this one. Most people figure this one out, oh, I just got to solve it here. But there's one limitation. First you see the arrow, but that's just there for the sign because it's on the sign to get back out. They see the symbols up here. And this is a reasonable association that, well, you know, there's lines and stuff up here as well. You notice the text here doesn't line up with here. I've just never changed it. We don't have to worry about that though. The thing is I have to change it up here. And I turn the music off now. The reason I want to do this is because if you're in this game, if you're in this thing here and you're looking and saying, hey, well, how do I figure out these prices? Then you happen to go back here like, oh, I bet it has something to do with this. I was hoping this wouldn't happen just because it's such a small menu, but it does say food here, it does say food here, so it doesn't cost much to clean it up. So let's just clean it up. We had to figure out how to clean it up though. Let me start this, get the size of what you can see. And this is the hot dog booth, hot dog stand. So these files are in SVG. You can see the top part, so I'm just going to leave the whole thing a bit open here so you can see what I'm working on now. And there's a little bit there. So basically this stuff here has to clean up. The prices I think are fine because they line up. So let's just, there's 4 lines. I'm just going to remove them all. Just get rid of these lines. Get rid of the confusing stuff. Now the question is, what do we write in there instead? This is going to be tiny, so we don't have to worry about too much what's in there. And the font is pretty much anything goes. So let's pick. Let me pick something, and I'll just start over here. I'm going to write it over here first of all. Can I actually see the text? What text do I want? And I think I can get away with, since it's going to be really small, I can put actual names of drinks here, or some ridiculous names here as well. You know, like a crab juice slammer or something. Crab juice slammer. Nobody knows what that is. Nobody cares. It's obviously not relevant. And you can have something like mustard sauce in your drinks, you know, just to make it interesting. So, but that's not so clear. Why do we say mustard mix? That'll be really weird for a drink, and it'll be okay. And of course you can have, because there's a hot sauce there, let's just go for a Bloody Mary. This is very typical, a very atypical menu for a hot dog stand at a park. And so what else might you bring? You can have an off-brand cola. So we can just literally say off-brand cola. And I'm going to make this white. Is this actually white? I'm going to zoom in, F7, take whatever white this is. It's probably not completely white. It did look white, actually. Now I can't see it, of course, so let's move it over here. And I'm going to have to make this shrink it down to fit into there. It's big enough to see. It's not so much. There we go. So you can see there's clearly no way you're going to mix it up here, unless somebody tries to come up with the name of it now. But I don't think they're going to do that. So for crab juice slammer, Bloody Mary, mustard mix. There's something else we have to do with this later, but I'm just going to get this thing and see if it works here first of all. And we're going to put it over here, and I'll zoom in. So we have 5 hot dogs now. And we'll just say, what's a good name of this hot dog? We'll just say a normal dog to get it all off here, a normal dog. Then what could the next one be? The next one could be, I'm going to say chili cheese, just because I got upset lately that somebody was giving me chili cheese fries that were not chili cheese. They just had nacho sauce on them, which is not the same. Literally not even nacho sauce, just cheese. Okay. Then you might want to have a Dachshund, because that's a type of dog. That's not how you spell it, though, is it? Oh, how on earth do you spell that dog name? Or maybe it is. I'll let DuckDuckGo correct me. There's probably a C in there, but I've been in Germany too long. I see C's in everything that makes an SH sound. It's a Dachshund. That's why it is. Dachshund. Dachshund. That's a tiny dog. They look like a hot dog wiener. There's probably one here, a cute little one in the pictures. Oh, I don't know. Where do you want to use the hot dog? I wish I could use this picture. Dachshund hot dog. Do they have it in here? Yeah, this is such a cute holiday Halloween costumes. These hot dogs here. They're so nice. Who knows? I probably can't show those pictures on the stream. Oh well. In any case, we have a Dachshund there. That's a good type of dog. Good type of hot dog too. And what else can we have here? They don't have to all. You don't want to cram jokes in every single part of your game. So you can just have like the Supreme. And you can make fun of menus like the Ultra Supreme. Ultra Supreme Plus. This is a typical nonsense you'd see on menus. And that's just give me something for the menus. And so I can go like this. So there's our hot dog menu. We have a hot dog, chili cheese, Dachshund, Supreme, Ultra Supreme. And if we zoom out, you can see it fits okay inside there. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to clean up the text a little bit after though. So you notice nothing, or I should do it right now. The menus aren't perfectly aligned. Like somebody wrote this by like hand. So let's just move this over a little bit. Just so, because sometimes it's not perfect. No, that one has to be aligned. So let's move this one in just to create variation in it. When I convert to text, when I convert to that, I can do more, but for now I'll just do this. Just add some variation. These ones over here. We do the Bloody Mary here, and you know, maybe put a star beside it, because who knows what that means on the menu. But that might distract somebody, so let's just leave it off. Because that's, you know, people see stars, they start looking around for what does the star mean? A hot dog and food. So what other food do we have? Well, we got to put the egg up there because there's an egg. So let's do this. Zoom back in. Copy and paste. Don't have a lot of space here. Egg. And what else could they have? Probably fries. But I have fries over there. No, I have chili cheese dog fries. Fries with fries and fries. I don't know. Fries and gravy. Let's do fries and gravy. Nah, it doesn't fit. Nothing fits here. So we just have this. So we have an egg. Let's just do mega egg. And let's do super fries, because everybody likes super fries. No, I know, curly fries. People like curly fries. Let's throw them on the menu. Now, I have a spacing issue. This one's going to have to be a bit over. So the guy who drew this menu is just going to jam it over there like that. Now we have the text here. You notice the text is a bit lighter than the price. And I think that's, I don't know if that's okay or not. But we zoom in, and now we have this. Now, I can save this in this state. And this will work locally. It should. It might. And it should work locally. Trust me, it's supposed to work. I have something not running if it's not working locally. So what I have is I ran the wrong file here, so I should be running just dev watch Carnival, and that'll build the SVG files as I save them. And you see it processed the SVG file, so now when I go over, it'll reload it. And it's super small to read, and I think that's the intent. I actually do kind of want that. If I make it bold, it'll actually be harder to read, so I'm going to leave it that small. This is just super small. You're not meant to read it. If you can zoom in, you'd see it if you have a big screen here. Interestingly, because of how I do the browser, you can't actually zoom in. You can zoom in all the UI elements, but this thing doesn't zoom in because it's controlled to fit. In a future version, I actually want to make it and perhaps zoom in. But I think this is okay. So you have some food here, and then you clearly no longer have the association with this menu here. You're not going to say that it has anything to do with this because the symbols don't line up. This is just basic atmosphere then. What's on here? We have crab juice slammer, a mustard mix, a Bloody Mary, an off-brand cola, a mega egg, curly fries, and then we have the hot dogs, normal dog, chili cheese, the Dachshund, the Supreme, and the Ultra Supreme Plus Plus. And I don't put any prices on there, just not to distract people, and it's also combined here. So I think that's enough for that red herring. It'll distract that, and it adds a little much touch to the game. The original clip art probably just didn't have text. They probably used stuff like this just because they wanted to have it language neutral. But then again, they had hot dog, food, drink, and good taste. So, you know, but now I have that. But I can't push this file up because this uses a font that the user might not have. Now, I could actually just distribute all these fonts of the game, but this gets ridiculous, and I don't think anybody actually wants all those fonts. Don't want to maximize. There we go. The reason I want those fonts is because this gets really big. Fonts are very large, and there's only a few places it's used, and these really aren't important in the game. I mean, in terms of whole text. So this is why I have layers in my game. This one doesn't have one yet. I don't know why. I screwed it up somewhere. Design layer. So I'm going to take these, not those, I'm going to take this, this, and this, and get rid of it, and throw it up in the design layer. Okay, so the design layer can be turned on and off. The reason it's in the design layer is because this then will technically get published, but I'm going to strip it out afterwards. And then I go back to the foreground, and I paste them in back again. And now here's where I'm going to convert them all to a path. I'm going to ungroup all of them. Going to combine them all, and now all that text is a single path that doesn't require a font. And that should still work in the game. And you see it there. You have all those dogs there. You can't really read them. They're and so that fixes the one red herring. So if I find my pen, I go to my little book, and I check off that red herring if I can figure out where it was in the book. Numbers go off the board. All right, I got that. I don't know where it is. There it is. Got the red herring. This is done. Yay. Done, 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 done. Numbers not local. Horse note shows many lines. Okay. There's one thing in the game. Another thing that's kind of distracting that they pointed out that if you click on the horse note, you get a horse note. Perfect. You get a horse note. And there's one statement in it. If you go to the inventory, you see a note with a whole bunch of statements in it. Now, this is a difficult one to fix because the question is here, well, do I show just the one statement, or Do I show it with no statements and just the horse, or do I make it dynamically show the statements on it? I think the correct answer is all of them, or none of the above. Making it dynamic is going to be a pain in the ass, so I just won't make it dynamic. That leaves either show all of them like it is now, or just show the horse on it. And it would also draw the attention that it's horse, but nobody misses the horse. So what I'm going to do here, it's because eventually it'll explain why there's all those notes, is I'm going to do the thing and say, priority, priority, woo. No priority on this one. We're just going to move on because it's not worth it. Another thing that comes up is if you take his hot sauce and you go out and you come back, he keeps stealing my hot sauce. Now they notice that as well. And I think that's okay. It's actually a fix for a bug, because if you could take the hot sauce again, you can keep taking the hot sauce, and he's just going to keep saying, hey, no kid keeps stealing hot sauce. And I think that's okay. It's really hard for me to decide in this case, because it's a multi-step puzzle, whether the hot sauce should be there or not. And I don't, because you can get rid of the hot sauce later. Most items in the game disappear, but this one just comes back. And so I just made it show up that if it disappears and comes back, you just get that message. Okay, so I fix that one. I'm going to add 12. Now, one that's a bit harder to fix is this awning here. It has to do with the number of lights. Now, there are 12 lights and there's 15 stripes in the awning. People often make that association, but I'm also going to consider it low priority for now, because by the time somebody makes the association between the awning and the lights and the colors, they don't tend to have a problem with that. They just line them up anyways, and it works fine. So for that one, I'm going to ignore it now, unless it keeps coming up again and again and again. One thing I might want to change is that these numbers here, usually I make such numbers local. So if you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it only shows there. But I can't remember if the game is local or not, or whether it should be local. So let's load up Chrome, a second browser, and go into the same game, the same instance of the game, turn off the music, and I'm going to solve this puzzle here without you seeing the bottom. Okay, now it's here. Now I can enter. So they have different text here. Now, I generally do this for entering text so people can try different combinations. So if one person's entering, the other person doesn't see it, which means I can try on my own over here. There's no reason it has to be this way. I can actually share these things. Now, I can show you what it looks like shared, and the question is whether I should share it or not. So let's open up the file where it's in. Source, escape, games, Carnival, ticket booth, and there's something called edit value. Edit value user at, no, not that one. Edit value, text, user at text right. And I will do text left first of all. Text left. Text left. I'm going to have to change these all back later too. Text left. And this becomes text left. Dropping the user just says, hey, this is synchronized for all users then. I have another one down here. It's off the screen, but that's okay. And this one's going to have to be fixed as well. Okay, so there's no more user at text. User at dot text left. No more. And then I have to rebuild that game file. So just build game data. I don't automatically rebuild these ones because I get errors and I have to see them, and it's a bit confusing to automatically rebuild. But what error did I get? All, none, or local only. Oh, yeah. I can't have a mix match here. So we'll just check that now. We'll just comment out the solving for now. Undefined puzzle tells a token ticket. Undefined puzzle, token ticket. Oh yeah, because naturally that's part of there. Okay, so I'm going to have to actually convert both sides. I can't just do the other one, user at dot text. We're going to have to change the right ones as well because it's just a bit complicated. There's just a filter in here that I can't have user and non-user ones matched in the same filter because it gets kind of confusing. Although technically it should work, but there's an ordering problem. And I'll get into that in a later show. If you ever want to know about that in a later show, remind me and I can check it out. Okay, so now we're back here. And it starts at 0. It doesn't go back to the same number because I've changed where it's stored. And now it's stored somewhere else. So now if I click on this, and now if I click on this, nothing happens. Edit value. Great, great. I screwed it up. Unknown action. Edit value. That's weird. You know, I wonder if I just don't support editing. What did I have there before? Well, I get to go into a bit of debugging there. I don't know why it's not working. Unknown action. Edit value. That's just strange. It likes having edit value, though. I don't know why it's broken. Let me check the game code quickly. That wasn't the intent of the show, but maybe I can do a quick fix. If I can't do a quick fix, I'll just move on and come back to it another time. And all right, source, logic, not logic, that'd be game manager. This error is in the, all right, I gotta make sure you can see this error. So there's an error right here in the unknown source, the game manager. Dispatch action method, game manager 309. So let's go to 309. Unknown action. Which is really weird because edit value is in there. You can find it, edit value. If action 0 equals edit value. Return. So what? Oh. Ooh, I see, I see. This is a bit of an interesting twist here. Now this gets really deep into the game, whether I can actually do this or not. Because editing local values is a very special thing, and it can't be properly ordered with respect to other players. So before I go deeper into this one, I'm just going to back out of this change, back out of this and go, nope, nope, just nope right out of that. Just like the sign in the Carnival says, we're just going to nope right out of that change because this is a big problem. I realize, understand. So it didn't change. Well, I can do this at least. I'll commit this one. Fix board red herring. And that goes fairly deep into a discussion of why I can't do that. In theory it'd work, but that's a challenging one. So we're going to silently push that one aside and say, look, we're probably going to release it with each player having their own copy of this text. And I have to rebuild the game now. Rebuild the game. So each player is going to get their own copy of this text. That means when both players edit it, they won't see each other's results. Got to reload this one too. And in the other game I did in the first game, this made the most sense. And if you're back here and you're typing in the puzzle box, it also makes the most sense here. Something here. Because you don't want to be interfering with the other players while typing. It even makes sense in the ticket, but I can see a reasonable exclusion that at least in the ticket, when you press enter, all players should see that value. Yeah, that's... I say, that's deep rabbit hole as to why that's the case. So let's see what else I have on the red herring list. So the other one I mentioned is that on the sign, there's an open, it's a pointing arrow. And this clearly on this sign, it makes, you know, you go back, it's open. And here it's pointing to the whole thing. Somebody saw the association that maybe it's pointing around here. There is a horse there, that's also good. I'm gonna leave this one because only one player reported that. And I don't think that's such a problem. I generally, if one player reports it and it's not an issue to fix, then I fix it. But if it's kind of an issue or I disagree with it, then I don't. But I fixed many things on this page that only one person has replaced, like the color of these things, the text multiple places, something about the egg, the placement of the horse here. There's so many things that drove people away from what the puzzle was supposed to be. And I try to fix all of them. So when somebody comes here, they're going to see a bunch of things. And there's going to be lots of text and detail, but only certain things are going to be relevant to the puzzle. And hopefully they don't get distracted from it. There was an error in the print hints here. Now let's see what the hint is now. There's a pattern to the symbols and price. Yeah, that's the correct hint. They had a separate hint before. And that gives you more hints. What they didn't notice is that you can get more hints. So what I should do, if I have some time, I might do that now, is I should actually make this hint have a button that says next hint. This is a UI challenge for many reasons. I might have to fix that whole layout first, but I think other people are getting hit by that. I think when some people are hitting live in the first game, I had somebody complain that the hints are utterly useless. And I think, well, yeah, but they're progressive. And by progressive, I mean, I try to reveal very, very little at once. So then if you go to the next hint, it gives you more. It still doesn't give the answer. And then if you go to the next one, it gives you even more information. And clicking moves away quickly. And then finally, if you really need the answer, it'll give you the answer. This is to make the game, this is to make it so you don't immediately jump to the answer, because that's no fun. You want people to figure it out, and if they don't, just give them a hint, point them in the right direction. But as the saw, maybe people aren't seeing the next hint. And so I have to find a way to do that. And I might come back to that. But I like doing that type of design offline because I don't know, it's a real pain in the ass to do the HTML online because it's just a lot of tweaking. So let's go to my next one. What do I have here? Numbers go off the, okay. Here's one, looks good. The numbers keep going off the board down here. Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's something that could be fixed. It's not, in terms of HTML, it's a simple max number of characters up here. I could just say simply 10 or 5, so you can't draw beyond here. It gives away some information, but it's also not so bad. If you can't type past them and it is clear, if I make it numbers only. The challenge for me is that I don't control the HTML in my game. I have a logical file, and that's the same file we saw before, the hot dog stand. So if we go to edit value, here's another value. Edit value is an action. An edit value says when you click on the price, you want to edit the value user at price. This is the variable it's stored in. And this is the correct price. And this is so it can match dynamically. The reason I have that is so that when you type a price in and you press enter and it's the wrong price, the edit knows that and it can shake this thing. It's a very limited system, but it really helped in the first game. I got a lot of feedback on that, and people seem to like that now, because otherwise it would silently do nothing. It would just, you'd press enter and it'd just disappear. And people would sit there going, is that right? Or is that wrong? So I made that, and that's what this price is here for. It's telling the edit control what it is. This one's actually optional, I think. I had to check. And then comes price. What are you actually formatting here? The reason this is here is because there's different types of formats you can have. If you're editing a price, you know you want something like price-like. It's going to look something like this. But if you're entering a password, say to a laptop, like in the previous game, some password, you put a password in instead. And the reason for that, and there's also lots of things like this too, if you have to answer some word riddle, the reason why I have special text modes is that in these modes, these are all normalized into something like this and compared to the answer. And this ensures that you don't have to have the right combination of commas, dots, spaces, dashes, capitals, lowercase to match the text. Because, let's be honest, when playing games, escape rooms, online games, adventure games, puzzle games, getting stuck on stuff like spaces and dashes is just annoying. It's just shitty annoying. So that's why I did that. The problem came is that when I started doing prices, if I had 45.19, it was being normalized to this. And this is actually in a price something very different. So I added the price mode. So you have to add the dot. And the dot now is required. Stuff like spaces and stuff shouldn't matter. This will still be stripped out. Okay, so that's what it is. So now the question is, how do I put a limiting thing on it? Well, it'd be easy enough to say, look, the maximum length is 5. But, yeah, you know, this is starting to become very unstructured, and this code already has too many fields, which are hard to do. So logically, this should become more of a structured variable. I can put structures here, but so I don't really just want to add a 5 and then track through all the program and do that. Maybe if I had a max width equals 5, but now I've added a second level of like options in here. So it's not an obvious thing to fix. I'm not going to cross it off the list. This is a legitimate defect of the app, a legitimate defect that says if you type here too long, it goes not just out of the field there, which is reasonable, the user can still draw on the board, but off the board entirely. It's a really hard fix. I mean, it's a really lot of work for a relatively minor gain that very few people actually notice, and those that do notice aren't really bothered by it. And so I'm going to leave it away for now. This is always doing like your own project, side project. You really have to prioritize these things. And so the red herring about the menu made sense because this was frustrating somebody. The text wasn't frustrating somebody, as was the text here. That wasn't bugging. It was just like a minor nuance. But the text on the board and the distraction here was a real major distraction, and it interfered with the fun of the game. So I fixed it. So what else can I fix from that last playtesting? They didn't have as many things. Here's an easy one. Now I'm just going to jump around so I don't see the whole game progression. You can do that. I have a debug menu at the bottom here. I literally typed, so I'm going to put it in the chats. What I typed was debug, go to user, go to park. And I get to go to the park. If you ever play the game, you can cheat that way, but you know, why would you? It ruins the fun. Park has lots of stuff. And so things in the park click. So this bush says bushy. It does nothing bushy. And this tree had a bunch of down arrows. And they had already found the horse at the bottom of the tree. Let's face it, it's not really that hard to find. And this gives more notes. So they clicked this and like down. So they started looking down, they clicked down, and you can click down right at the bottom. And this is probably how the problem is that they keep clicking down. So they're like, do we have to dig here? Can we do something here? And it's like, no, you do nothing here. So that's a minor distraction, simple thing to fix. This adds nothing to the game. I was just pointing that. I just wanted something different. But we're going to go back to the old standby of an emoji of a tree. Why not? Trees are fun. Emojipedia. And I go broccoli. I wonder if anybody noticed if it was broccoli instead of a tree. But that might end up being really weird in some plants. So I'm going to take the deciduous tree, copy this, go to the file. This is the park file. These files, incidentally, they may look like YAML files, but they are not YAML files. This is a custom format I've done, which is a lot more, well, it's different than YAML. It has a similar structure, but it's simplified in some ways and improved in other ways. In particular, I have this equal syntax, which does an automatic array without having to put array syntax and commas. These aren't really commands in that sense, traditional programming sense. They're processed an array and then processed that way, but spelling it. So the tree, here it says tree. Feedback message is a quick way to say what it gets back. We're going to replace the down arrow with a tree. I just trust it's a tree. The font I have for the editor, Kate, doesn't use emoji fallbacks, which most editors tend not to because, hey, you know, maybe you shouldn't show them. And that should be enough. So let's just rebuild that. Go to the park. And now I should have little trees pop up instead. So it's clear this really doesn't really do anything. So that fixes that one. And the tree down arrow has been fixed. Okay, there's a couple more. Let's go to debug. I'm going to user go to ride ship. So here was another one. This one here seems to be fine. I added this. You can click it. It's fun. And also you can click the dragon. Few people have clicked the dragon. This really surprises me. People click everywhere. They even see the tree. I'm a tree. They click the garbage can. And they click everything on here. And sometimes they don't click the skull, but most do. But very few have been clicking the dragon. And I put the little fire and make a dragon. I want people to see the dragon. All right, that's not the issue. The issue is over here on the side. And they would click on a thing and it would just go, oops. It wouldn't have the I broke it. It would just say, oops, and have the little thing there. And they immediately thought, oh, maybe I can spell something. In this particular case, I thought, well, maybe I can spell ice. And it means something. It's not. It just, I have breakable things in the game because, hey, why not? And they realized they couldn't do anything this when they went away and came back, and they saw the letters were gone. So the letters are permanently gone. And so all I did was change it to, oops, I broke it, to make it clear that, nah, you can't do anything with this. So I'm going to consider that one fixed. Okay. Now, what other one did I have? I have one more. Well, I had several in the Dart game. I can show you that. But I fixed them. I fixed them before I did the next test that day. There's a lot going on here, and I've simplified this a great deal. I've added her hint. That was originally added. Then I added his hint to tell you not to ignore that. And these paws were over here before going to the left. Now the paws distracted the last player because the moment they saw the paws going from here, they assumed they had to go from here. And that threw them off. Now somebody might assume they have to go from here as well. But there's also paws over here now. And she says start from a yellow one, which are not on the paws. So I'm hoping somebody figures out we have to start on a yellow one. And some people have gone. So I'm reasonably certain if I remove one of the yellow flags, everybody would figure out this puzzle with no problem. But I'm trying to figure out, can I leave one? Is this clear enough to leave one? And it's getting better. The first version was really hard. But so I fixed that. So I'm going to get rid of that one. I think those are fixed. Instead of removing the pause, I added second pause, so maybe that's enough. Actually, you know what? That might actually be the red herrings from their game. There's a few defects they had. So the one of them was, go back. Eventually, you can activate this stone here. User, I'm going to magically acquire something. Just a second, I'm acquiring an item, cheating. There's cheat codes in the game. I cheat, take this bunny and give it to this guy over here. So now you can actually get to this game. I cheated to get there before. So if you go here, you get to the game, right? Now these stones have to be activated first. If you click the stone, it has to be activated before you'll find your way around. Now if you click on the icon, you go there. But if you click on the stone, well, it gives you the icon, the message that it's not been activated because the actual icon's up at the top. This was not actually intended. These are two different objects. And if you click on this one, you'll go there. If you click on the stone, you get that message. And that message is distracting. It's not a major change, but it's enough that I want to fix it. So in the well. Rock 1, action message. The grand navigation stone is to be activated before you'll find your way around. And then I have a rock 1 icon which says visible if the lion girl. And then I have conditions. Active equals solve lion girl. Action equals user go to park. What I should do is I should make the rock actually activate instead. Now, how do I mix these and match these? I think if I just do this, I move the conditions up. Where's the... No, I want to do the other one with the bunny boy first, to the dart game. So I'm going to move the conditions up to the stone itself. And rock 3 is solved if it's visible, solved rabbit boy. And this is active if it's solved rabbit boy. Otherwise, the action message is the park is large and confusing. You can't get through it without guidance stones. So basically, the conditions say what's active and what condition. I think this will work. I don't always use all aspects of my engine. Requires active condition. Yeah. True. I think that works. Maybe it shouldn't need one, but the fallback is always considered the main one. But these overwrite the main one, so I don't want to have an action message and an action, so I put them both in conditions. So now what I have here is that this goes to the Dart game exactly like it should. So it doesn't give the text message here. I can't really undo this, and I'll show you a test set later. But I suspect there's one problem here if I click on... Oh, I was assuming that if I clicked on the balloon, it might not activate that. But this balloon is probably a child of the stone in the SVG, so it still activates it. So now that's a clean fix there. So this is the Grand Navigation Stone, the other one. So let's fix that one too. And we don't have to reload that. Let's go up to these rock icons. This is the first one, solve lion girl, condition solve lion girl, every action message. And this is active equals true. Action message is this one. These, like I say, these go in a fallback order. First one that's active wins. There's no like coalescing of values, except they all coalesce in the base values. That's why I took out the base value. So let's go back here, reload the game, and it has to be activated. This is still there. So now when I get the other thing, I need a lion puppet and give it to her. Now if I click anywhere in here, it'll go to the right place. That goes back there, even if you click on the icon. Except I have to test this, so again, for completeness, I should test it. Now that means creating a new instance of the game, which unfortunately puts me right back at the start, but I can just jump back to that level there. So now it's like this, and I see the confusing text. So the text basically says you have to activate them before you get there. That's the correct thing. Now, when you get the bunny or the lion, you give it to her, the whole thing goes to the right place, including the tiny little bit of stone at the bottom there. It all goes to the right place. And same with the little boy. We better check it just again, just to make sure. Puppet rabbit. Okay, give this and give it off to the bunny rabbit here. There we go. Hop, hop, and now we have that thing there. It goes to the right place. That's exactly what we wanted there. So I'm going to consider that defect to be fixed. Fix that one. There's a fix here. There is something about this graphic that isn't quite right. The stones are a bit high up. I thought I fixed it, but I'm not sure anymore why the stones are so high up. I'm going to take a look at that. Yeah, because the background, these stones, the background has to be higher, but then I don't want to lose the rainbow. If I change the shape of this, the rainbow comes down. So there's only like one sweet spot where it's in the right place. Otherwise, it goes back up. So the backgrounds have to fill the screen, and the foreground fits the variable area. That's how I managed to get it to keep the whole area, is the background doesn't have to size the same way. So what could I do? I could actually change it. Let me take a look how hard this is. Let's go back to Inkscape. Background rainbow. Now this is an SVG file, but the game's actually loading. The game's loading JPEGs. Because the backgrounds are all JPEGs, because these are really costly to render then. If you have everything SVG, there's too much to render there. Now what's hard in Inkscape is I can't really, so the bottom, you can barely see it right there. I could make this go up a little bit more, but then I lose the top. The rainbow might go to the way, but let's just make this go up a bit more. I should make this go all the way up, because it's not far enough in the bottom. This is going to clip the rainbow, unfortunately. But you know, that might be okay. And if you go back to the console here, you'll see that it's converted this SVG to a JPEG, so it can automatically be loaded in the background here. And I load this up. And this puts my background in a better location. It almost doesn't have to be that much, but now it clips the rainbow. But I think it's preferable to see the bottom. If you have a narrow enough display, it'll eventually go above the water, but that's not my concern. So did I do too much? Could it be a bit further down? I think this is a good height, but I could get the rainbow in a little bit more. Control this, maybe just a little bit down. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so they're a bit higher. This one's technically floating a little bit, but I think I'm still okay here. And I see a tad bit more of the rainbow, tad. But I'm going to live with that one. So it's a good compromise there. And now they go off the ground a bit quicker. And if they go really wide, really, really full screen. Okay, that's not fair full screen because I have it actually in, because of the debug window open. If it wasn't open, it'd be fine. So let's just go with that one. And that'll be okay for that. One other thing is the one player did actually have a very small screen. So the inventory was way down here, and the inventory didn't scroll. For this game, it's not a big issue because they don't have much to scroll. But in the future, I'm going to have to actually make the inventory scroll. You can't see all the inventory stuff here, and it's going to be hard. I'd have to show how it scrolls. So for the future, I'm just going to ignore it for now. Put it on my long-term plus list of improving the inventory. Once I get a game that has lots of inventory, I will have to fix that. But for the most part, most people can see all of it. Even the person that had it clipped could see it. Okay, one other nuance we had. When I fixed his lights, he would say, it would tell everybody that they fixed the lights. So if you fixed all the patterns up there, I won't have to show that. I can just explain what happens. Close this one. If I go back to the file and go to the hot dog one, hot dog stand, there's a difference between speak and local speak. So the clue he types, when you go to here and you click on his head, not in the SVG file, he says, I liked my striped awning. Alas, my lights no longer play along. Only the player who clicked sees that. So if I'm over here, let me open up the same game. Let me cheat here too. Hot dog stand. If I click on him, you don't see the text over here. It's only local. Just like if I click on the person, the other one, you see a text here, not here. Some things, just for fun, show up in both. Oops. More like just for annoying people. So if I click on, say, the wiener, it makes a joke, don't touch my wiener, and then everybody gets to see that you clicked on that, just to be annoying. But for some things, it shouldn't show up. Most things don't show up in both places. But he unfortunately has one small defect, that while his clue says it, once you've solved it, then he speaks to everybody, thanks for fixing my lights. And all I have to do is change speak to local speak, and that fixes it. So I leave the wiener here as speak, and then put this one local speak, and that fixes it. But I can't show it right now because I don't actually have that puzzle solved. I don't want to show all the puzzles of the game. You can play the game, but there's some puzzles. I can actually solve it off screen, so you can't see it. Ah, you're still going to see it up there. Ah, no, I won't solve the puzzle. Okay, so that's the lights. That's the one thing here. I fixed that. One thing there. Fix that thing. You know what? I think I fixed enough of this. There's some things I might not want to do. I think some of them are very difficult, and some of them I don't think I want to do, and the others are going to keep on the list for the future. There's some very difficult ones. So I think that's just about it. That's all I really want. That gives me a decent show for today. Let me know what you want to know about the show. One of the things I could offer next time is why when you go and click a light in one of them, how it happens that the light in the other one changes. This is local, but it's not really. This is going through a server. And this is happening whether around the globe, wherever you are. How does it happen that when you click on something like this, it manages to propagate to the other one for all users who are playing. It all changes at the same time. And I'm going to do a show maybe about how that works. That's one of the options. Or how, when you get the right clicking order of, say, the hot dogs, that it figures out how to match. There's lots of things here that I could cover. If you're interested in any of them, just let me know in the show comments on Twitter, anywhere you want, basically. And I think that's it for the show today. I thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to talking to you again about the game. And also, I've been doing streaming games, so if you have a game you want me to see me play, a puzzle game, just let me know. And if I'm bored, I might do so later. All right, have a good evening. Bye.